What if the most effective tool for protecting your prostate has been sitting in your kitchen this entire time, and your doctor never once mentioned it? That's not a hypothetical. That is the reality for millions of men over 60 who are managing night after night of broken sleep, weak urine flow, and that constant maddening pressure in the lower abdomen, and who have been handed prescriptions without ever being told that specific foods, eaten consistently and correctly, can dramatically reduce prostate inflammation and restore comfort in ways that many medications can only partially achieve. Here is the biological truth most men were never given. Your prostate does not swell in isolation. It swells in response to inflammation, oxidative stress, and hormonal shifts, all of which are powerfully influenced by what you put on your plate every single day. And certain fruits contain compounds so targeted in their effect on prostate tissue that researchers have spent decades studying them specifically for this purpose. My name is Dr. Jocelyn. I'm a urologist and men's health specialist with 24 years of clinical practice, and I've spent a significant part of my career helping men over 60 reclaim their comfort, their sleep, and their confidence through evidence-based natural approaches. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 fruits, ranked by their impact, that the science says can reduce prostate swelling, calm urinary symptoms, and support the kind of vitality older men deserve to hold on to. And stay with me through number 1, because it is the fruit most men have eaten their entire lives without ever understanding what it is quietly capable of. Before we continue, by the end of this video, I want you to pick just one fruit from this list and commit to adding it to your daily routine for the next 21 days. Drop your choice in the comments below. That single decision, made today, could be the beginning of a real shift. Now let's get into the science. The biology behind prostate swelling. What's actually happening? Before we talk about the fruits, I want to spend just a moment making sure you understand what you're actually dealing with. Because once you understand the mechanism, the solutions make perfect sense. The prostate is a walnut-sized gland that sits just below the bladder, wrapped around the urethra, the tube through which urine flows. In a young, healthy man, it performs its functions quietly and without complaint. But as testosterone levels shift with age, a byproduct hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, begins to accumulate in the prostate tissue. DHT drives cell growth, and as the prostate enlarges, it begins to compress the urethra from the outside, which is why urination becomes slower, weaker, more urgent, and more frequent, especially at night. Here is the statistic I share with every patient who sits in front of me, confused about why this is happening to them. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, the medical term for prostate enlargement, affects approximately 50% of men by age 60 and over 80% of men by age 80. This is not a rare condition. This is one of the most common biological experiences of male aging, and yet most men are completely blindsided by it. What makes this relevant to today's conversation is that inflammation and oxidative stress are primary drivers of DHT accumulation and prostate cell growth, which means that foods with powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties are not just supportive, they are genuinely therapeutic. They address the mechanism, not just the symptom. And 5 fruits in particular do this better than almost anything else in the natural world. Let's count them down. Fruit number 5, kiwi, the vitamin C powerhouse your prostate needs. I want to begin with one that surprises almost every patient I recommend it to, because kiwi is rarely the first thing men think of when they think prostate health, but it should be. Kiwi is one of the most concentrated natural sources of vitamin C available. And vitamin C, in the context of prostate health, is not merely an immune booster. It is a direct antioxidant that neutralizes the free radicals, the unstable molecules, that accumulate in prostate tissue and drive oxidative stress over time. Oxidative stress is one of the key triggers of inflammation, and chronic low-grade inflammation is what keeps the prostate in a constant state of irritation, swelling, and dysfunction. 2 kiwis a day delivers more vitamin C than an orange, and does so alongside a rich supply of dietary fiber, which supports gut health and hormonal clearance. Here's the connection most people miss. Your gut is responsible for metabolizing and eliminating excess estrogen and other hormones. When gut health is poor, those hormones recirculate. and hormonal imbalance is a direct contributor to prostate enlargement. So when you eat kiwi consistently, you're not just delivering antioxidants, you're supporting the entire hormonal ecosystem that determines how your prostate behaves. I had a patient, I'll call him Douglas, 69, a retired teacher, who came to me after 3 years of waking up 4 times a night. He was exhausted, irritable, and beginning to withdraw from the social life he'd always loved. He didn't want surgery. He wasn't ready for medication. So we started simple. 2 kiwis a day every morning for 6 weeks. At his follow-up, he told me he was waking up once, sometimes not at all. "I forgot what it felt like to sleep," he said. "I feel like I got a piece of my life back." Kiwi is gentle, accessible, and easy to incorporate. Slice it into yogurt, blend it into a smoothie, or eat it whole. What matters is consistency. Healing is not dramatic, it is daily. Fruit number 4, blueberries, antioxidant defense at the cellular level. If kiwi is the foundation, blueberries are the reinforcement. And the reason lies in a class of compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue-purple color and that function as some of the most potent antioxidants found in any food on Earth. Anthocyanins work by intercepting oxidative damage before it reaches prostate cells. They reduce the inflammatory signaling proteins that tell the prostate to swell. They protect the integrity of blood vessel walls throughout the pelvic region. And because the prostate, like all tissue, depends on healthy circulation for oxygen, nutrient delivery, and waste removal, anything that improves vascular health in the lower body directly supports prostate function. But what I find most compelling about blueberries in clinical terms is their effect on the brain-body connection. Men experiencing chronic urinary symptoms are under enormous psychological stress, disrupted sleep, anxiety about being too far from a bathroom, the quiet humiliation of leakage. That stress elevates cortisol, and high cortisol worsens inflammation throughout the body, including in the prostate. Blueberries, through their antioxidant action, help break that cycle. I think of a patient named Franklin, 71, a retired postal worker who'd been dealing with urgency and weak flow for nearly 4 years. He was a proud, private man who came to me only because his daughter insisted. We talked about food, and I recommended a simple addition, a generous handful of blueberries with breakfast, every day, no exceptions. 3 months later, Franklin told me something that stayed with me. "My wife says I'm easier to be around. I'm sleeping. I'm not anxious anymore." He paused. I didn't realize how much that bathroom problem was running my whole life. A small bowl of blueberries. Daily, consistent. That is all it took to begin changing the chemistry of his body and the quality of his days. Toss them into oatmeal, mix them into plain yogurt, eat them by the handful. The dose that matters in the research is roughly 1 cup per day. Make it a habit, not an occasion. Fruit number 3, pomegranate. Ancient medicine, modern proof. There is something almost fitting about the pomegranate's place in this list. It has been used in traditional medicine across the Middle East, Asia, and the Mediterranean for centuries, specifically for male vitality and urinary health. And modern science has spent the last 2 decades explaining exactly why those ancient practitioners were right. Pomegranate contains a compound called ellagic acid, along with a dense concentration of polyphenols, plant-based molecules that act as both antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. When these compounds reach prostate tissue, they suppress the inflammatory pathways that drive swelling. They also appear to inhibit the activity of 5-alpha reductase, the enzyme responsible for converting testosterone into DHT, the very hormone that triggers prostate cell growth. That last point is significant. Pharmaceutical drugs called 5-alpha reductase inhibitors are among the most commonly prescribed medications for BPH. Pomegranate contains compounds that work on the same pathway, not with pharmaceutical potency, but without pharmaceutical side effects, and with the added benefits of antioxidant protection and cardiovascular support. A study published in a peer-reviewed nutrition journal found that men who consumed pomegranate juice regularly showed measurable reductions in prostate-specific antigen, PSA, velocity, meaning their PSA levels rose more slowly over time. This is a meaningful clinical marker. I had a patient, I'll call him Raymond, a 74-year-old retired contractor, who came to me with persistently elevated PSA readings and symptoms that had been worsening over 2 years. He was nervous. We ruled out malignancy and identified BPH as the primary driver. He asked me what he could do beyond medication. I told him about pomegranate. Half a glass of pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice every morning, nothing added, nothing diluted. He came back at 90 days with a look on his face I recognized: relief. My symptoms are lighter, he told me. I'm not waking up as much. And my last PSA, it barely moved. Pomegranate juice is the most practical delivery method because the seeds can be messy and the juice concentrates the beneficial compounds efficiently. But read your labels. Sweetened pomegranate cocktails contain a fraction of the active compounds and a great deal of sugar. Pure juice or fresh seeds eaten directly are your best options. Fruit number 2, watermelon. Lycopene in its most absorbable form. Most men are surprised to find watermelon on a list about prostate health. They think of it as a summer treat, something sweet and hydrating with no particular medicinal value. But inside the red flesh of watermelon is one of the highest concentrations of lycopene found in any raw food. And lycopene is, by a significant margin, the most researched nutrient for prostate protection in the world. Lycopene is a carotenoid, a natural pigment and antioxidant. It has a remarkable affinity for prostate tissue, meaning it accumulates there preferentially. Once present, it reduces oxidative damage to prostate cells, suppresses inflammatory signaling, and appears to slow the abnormal cell proliferation that drives BPH. What makes watermelon particularly valuable is bioavailability. The lycopene in watermelon is bound in a form that the human body absorbs more readily than lycopene from many other raw sources. And because watermelon is approximately 92% water, it simultaneously flushes the kidneys, hydrates the urinary tract, and helps dilute the concentration of irritants that can worsen urgency and discomfort. I think of a patient named Clifford, 68, a retired school principal who came to me in the middle of summer, frustrated and sleep-deprived. He had a stop-start urine stream, chronic pelvic pressure, and had begun avoiding social events out of fear of not finding a bathroom in time. He was withdrawing from his own life. I told him to add 2 thick slices of watermelon every afternoon for the next month, in addition to making a few other dietary adjustments. He returned 6 weeks later and described something I hear often when men begin eating for their prostate. The pressure eased, the stream improved. I actually went to my grandson's baseball game last weekend and didn't leave early. That may sound modest. To Clifford, it was enormous. Watermelon is best consumed fresh, at room temperature or slightly chilled, not ice cold, which can be harsh on the bladder. 2 to 3 cups of cubed watermelon daily provides a clinically meaningful dose of lycopene for most men. Make it your afternoon snack. Simple, consistent, cumulative. Fruit number 1, tomato, the most powerful prostate food on earth, and you already own it. I have saved this one for last because I want it to land with the weight it deserves. The tomato, technically a fruit, botanically speaking, is the single most evidence-backed food for prostate health in the clinical literature. And the reason comes back to lycopene. Tomatoes contain the highest concentration of lycopene of any commonly consumed food. But here is the detail that changes everything, and that most people, even those who have read about lycopene, do not know. Cooking the tomato increases the bioavailability of lycopene by up to 4 times. The heat breaks down the cell walls and transforms the lycopene into a configuration that the human body can absorb dramatically more efficiently. Add a small amount of healthy fat, olive oil is ideal, and absorption increases further still because lycopene is fat-soluble. This means that a bowl of slow-cooked tomato soup with a drizzle of olive oil is not just a warm, comforting meal. It is, in the most literal clinical sense, one of the most therapeutic things a man over 60 can eat for his prostate. Tomato paste and tomato sauce, concentrated and cooked, are even more potent per gram than fresh tomatoes. The evidence is substantial. A landmark Harvard study following nearly 50,000 male health professionals found that men who consumed cooked tomato products 10 or more times per week had a significantly lower risk of prostate cancer compared to men who consumed them less than 1.5 times per week. For men already managing BPH, the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects of lycopene, work to reduce swelling, improve urine flow, and decrease the hormonal signals driving gland enlargement. I want to tell you about a patient. I'll call him Arthur, 82 years old, a retired farmer who had been living with severe BPH for nearly a decade. He came to me not in crisis, but quietly exhausted. He woke up 5 or 6 times a night. He'd stopped sleeping in the same room as his wife so he wouldn't disturb her. He felt like a burden, and that feeling was eating at him far more than the symptoms themselves. Arthur was already on medication, which had helped partially, but he wanted more. He wanted to feel like he was doing something. I told him about tomatoes, specifically about warm tomato soup with olive oil every morning. Something his wife could make with him. Something that would become a shared ritual rather than another clinical intervention. He came back at 12 weeks. He was sleeping in his bedroom again. 4 nights that week, he hadn't woken at all. His wife had left him a note. He pulled it out of his shirt pocket and read it to me. It said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I have my husband back." I have been practicing medicine for 24 years. Moments like that are why. Tomato soup, tomato paste stirred into warm broth, marinara over roasted vegetables, chopped cooked tomatoes with a drizzle of good olive oil. Any preparation that involves heat and a small amount of fat is the right preparation. Make it daily. Make it easy. Make it something you look forward to. What happens when you combine them? The 5 fruits we've discussed, kiwi, blueberries, pomegranate, watermelon, and tomato, do not simply add to each other. They compound. Each one targets a different pathway of prostate inflammation and oxidative stress. Together, they create a nutritional environment in which the prostate has everything it needs to reduce swelling, maintain healthy tissue, and function with far less resistance. Kiwi controls oxidative stress and supports hormonal clearance through gut health. Blueberries protect at the cellular level and interrupt the inflammation cortisol cycle. Pomegranate works on the same enzymatic pathway as prescription DHT blockers, naturally and gently. Watermelon delivers highly bioavailable lycopene, while simultaneously hydrating and flushing the urinary tract. Tomato provides the highest lycopene concentration of all, amplified by cooking, to directly reduce swelling and protect prostate cells from long-term damage. You do not need to add all 5 at once. Start with 1. Pick the one that resonates, that feels manageable, that fits your morning or your afternoon. Build from there. The men I've seen transform their prostate health through food did not do it through dramatic overnight overhaul. They did it through one consistent choice, made daily, until it became as natural as breathing. Tonight, one choice. Here is what I want you to do. Not next week, tonight or tomorrow morning. Look at this list. Pick 1 fruit, just 1. Add it to your routine for the next 21 days without exception. Then come back to the comments and tell me which one you chose. Your comment does 2 things. It holds you accountable to yourself, and it shows the man scrolling past at 2 in the morning, the one who hasn't slept properly in 2 years and doesn't know where to start, that someone just like him made a decision and began. That is how change actually spreads, not through prescriptions or procedures alone, through men deciding they are still worth taking care of and doing something small and real about it. Your prostate is asking for your attention, not your surrender. Your attention. The discomfort you are managing right now is not the final chapter. It is a signal. And the right response to a signal is not to wait. It is to act. So tonight, slice a kiwi. Warm up some tomato soup. Pour half a glass of pomegranate juice. Take a bowl of blueberries to your chair. Cut yourself a piece of watermelon. Notice how it feels to be someone who is actively choosing his own health. Because you are not done yet. Your body still wants to respond. It just needs the right raw material to do it with. If this video brought you something useful, please like it. That simple action helps this information reach the men who need it most. Share it with someone in your life who is quietly struggling with these symptoms and doesn't know where to turn. And subscribe so you don't miss what I share next, because this is just the beginning of what honest, practical, evidence-based men's health advice looks like. I'm Dr. Jocelyn. Small steps, big results. Take care of yourself. You deserve it. I'll see you in the next one.